My name is Frida, and I was born in a family where they firmly believe in horoscopes. Will you say that I also read them and even adhere to them? What if I told you that my mother is so deep into him that she only allows me to go to the dentist when the stars aligned? Even if I was in unbearable pain, she'd tell me, "It's still too early, just wait." Frida, only eat cucumbers today and avoid tomatoes. Otherwise, there will be trouble, my mother told me, making breakfast for school. Did I believe her? Of course, yes. If your mother tells you from early childhood that, for example, eating meat is bad, she doesn't eat it herself and doesn't allow you to, you'd also believe that. But then, everything changed dramatically, and that's exactly what my story is about today. That was until I accidentally met a couple of foreign girls, Mary B. and Joanna. Someone stole Mary B's handbag while she was walking down the road, and I instinctively rushed to save someone else's stuff. I just ran. I caught up with the thief in 50 seconds and threw him to the floor and then proudly lifted the handbag in the air, and the girls simply idolized me. Of course, we immediately became friends. I came home with a feeling of delight. "Mom! Mom!" I shouted, impatient to share my news about my first friends. But after my story, Mother gloomily got up from the sofa and after a couple of minutes, brought me my horoscope for that day on a piece of paper. But I've already seen my horoscope for today. There was nothing about banning acquaintances. "It's already past midnight. This is a new one, and believe me, daughter, all this is not coincidental. Do you remember when you disobeyed the stars and went to the exam in school? You failed it." "But I failed because I didn't prepare." "No, you failed it because you talked with our annoying neighbor. She's a Taurus, according to her zodiac. You shouldn't have run into her that day." Nevertheless, this time I decided not to listen to the stars and went to meet the girls in the afternoon at the cinema. Then something terrible happened. There was a fire in the building. More precisely, the fire alarm went off. Since I was running so fast, I ran out the door in a panic and it hit Joanna in the face. It was an accident, I swear. She fell and rolled down the stairs, hurting her knee. From that moment on, the girls began to fear me. They said I was too inattentive and left. I didn't tell my mother about that accident. I just started to stay at home again. 3 years have passed since then. Then there was a new friend, only this time it was a guy. Well, I fell in love as soon as he paid for my checkout at the store, simply because I forgot my wallet at home. Will asked why I bought so much chili, and I immediately realized he wasn't a local. Mom came out on the threshold of the house when she saw how we talked. At first, she was silent, and then she asked who he was, and I lied, saying he was just a friend. You won't believe what happened next. "Today, if you meet a friend, you should ignore him. Otherwise, Mercury will punish your loved ones." Wow, I hadn't read that one yet. I kissed my mother as usual for the forecast and left the house on business. Of course, I ran into Will. It's just that this time, he didn't walk me home so my mother wouldn't see him. But when I came home, she was lying there unconscious. "Oh my God! Mom! What have I done?" I screamed. An ambulance arrived, and it turned out that her blood pressure had gone up greatly. I asked for forgiveness because I felt so guilty about it. Every day I ignored the calls and messages from Will so that a new bad event would not occur. One day, sitting in the room in the evening, a knock was heard on my window. Will was throwing rocks at it. Mom was sleeping, so I went outside, standing at a safe distance. He asked why I was ignoring him. I was silent. I didn't know what to say. "Just tell me. If you don't like me, I'll stop texting you. I'll just disappear." I burst into tears. He immediately came up to me and I kissed him, and then I ran back into the house. My heart was beating crazily. He left after some time, smiling at me through the window, and I didn't fall asleep that night. In the morning, my mother brought me my horoscope. "You should stop communicating with new people. Spend the day at home today. The stars advise you not to let strangers get into your heart." "Mom, why are the stars against me? Why can't I ever make friends or have a boyfriend?" She was so indignant. "Don't argue with the stars. They know what's best. If it weren't for the stars, you would have been in bad company a long time ago, like with those girls at the cinema." That got me thinking. How do you know that I went to the movies with them? I never told you. Then I abruptly went towards her bedroom. Mom never let me in there. She said she had a special energy in the room and that I could shake it. Mom ran after me, and you won't believe what I saw. Security cameras in my room, outside. And then I noticed devices like wiretapping and a bunch of scribbled papers. These were horoscopes invented by her. Remember at the very beginning I talked about meat? That's how I firmly believe that horoscopes were the prophecy from the stars, and not a crazy, super controlling mother making it all up. So what's next? I decided to move away from her and found a job. I think that was the best solution. What do you think? Hi from Miami, everyone. I'm Evelyn, and I'll tell you my story about how my family worships me and why. I am the most popular girl at school. I've always been like that. My parents were known for doing everything for their only daughter. They literally worshipped me. I had money and a lot of fans. To win my attention, girls and boys literally performed concerts. Someone would give something, others would open the door, and someone would do my homework. Everyone wanted to visit my chic house, but I rarely invited anyone over. I had my own reasons for this, which you'll find out very soon. My father used to pick me up from school. He always waited outside with flowers, opened the door every day. Everyone was jealous of this and asked, why do my parents worship me like that? I always answered, it's just that they love me, and I use it. Was I a bitch? Perhaps, but there was no other family like mine. So that day I went home with Dad. As soon as I entered the hall, Mom and Dad held out their hands and I paid each for the hours worked. I said, tomorrow at the same time. Miss, I'm sorry, but tomorrow my daughter has a concert for fathers. I have to be there. Can I take the day off? Day off? Your job is to pretend to be my parents. That's it. Am I asking too much? I pay you money for this. Tomorrow at the same time. We understand you, miss. Tomorrow we'll arrive early in the morning. What? Don't you get it? These are not my real parents. They're fake. I pay them to pretend. Where are my real parents? You'll find out soon enough. We went outside, where suddenly my new boyfriend Luke was standing. My parents kissed me on the forehead and said they were going out. Well, Luke invited them and me to his party tomorrow night. My parents throw parties for my friends and their parents to get to know each other. We rich need to know each other by sight, right? So I accepted the invitation, thanking him, but still didn't know how it would turn out. My fake parents arrived at the party as we agreed. But suddenly, among the guests at the party, I met my old friend, the one who knew my real parents and their fate. I was so surprised at our meeting. I tried to hide from her, and yet we collided. Ava asked who it was with me, and I whispered everything to her and asked her not to tell anyone about it. Ava, my house is all that's left of my luxury. But your parents work hard to support you. This house and your requests. Don't you think that's not fair? Don't lecture me. At least I don't disown my relatives just because they went bankrupt. Her words hit a nerve, but on the other hand, I couldn't let anyone know that the once richest girl in the city was impoverished. I decided to salvage the situation, and while my real parents were working for money, they were replaced by beautiful actors who looked like them, and no one guessed anything. Just don't tell anyone, especially Luke. What don't you want to tell me? He approached so imperceptibly that I was frightened. It's good that food delivery arrived at that moment, and oh no, it couldn't be. The couriers entered the house. My parents. I had no idea how to react, but Ava greeted them and then looked at me. You're 4 minutes late, and the food is already cold. Luke yelled at them. I tried to calm him down, but then his mom and dad came out and began to humiliate my parents. If you can't even cope with such elementary work, then how do you live? I was seething with anger, but the worst thing is that my father and mother bowed their heads and asked for forgiveness. Are you still going to stay silent? Ava asked me. And then Luke took the pizza from the box and threw it at my father. The crowd laughed. Mom started crying. Then Luke came up to me and said, the rich are drawn to the rich, and the beggar's place is in the dump. They're the ones ruining our society. Then I grabbed another piece of pizza and slammed it into Luke's face. Everyone freaked out. I stood next to the couriers and shouted, okay, everybody, this is my real father and my real mother. They're couriers. They earn their money by honest labor while you own illegal businesses. And you know what? Luke actually sells drugs at school. Yes, I'd rather work as a courier than launder money through shell funds and engage in drug dealing. By the way, Luke, your Rolexes are fake. My father had the real ones, and you don't know how to tell the difference. All the best, and go to hell. I said it in one breath, showed the middle finger, and got out of there. Ava followed me with her parents, and we had a great evening back at the pizzeria. Now I realize there are things more important than money and show-offs. It's the love of family.